everyone. This is episode 20 of the Fitness Business Growth Podcast, a podcast run by gym owners for gym owners. Today, I'm very grateful to have Australia's best fitness closer, Brooke Triplett. Brooke, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here, Jamie. Thanks.
Awesome. I'm going to cue the intro and we'll be back in 1 second.
Welcome to the Fitness Business Growth Podcast, a podcast run by gym owners for gym owners. My name is Mitch, and along with Jamie, we are your hosts, and we will be discussing all the important things that you need to run a successful fitness business. From marketing to lead generation to sales to retention to staff and much, much more. So if you are a fitness business owner, then this is for you. We hope you enjoy the following episode and we will speak with you soon.
And Brooke, we're back.
I tell you what, Jamie, Mitch is in the wrong podcast industry. His voice is just so calming. It's like I'm listening to Jay Shetty or something. Like, it's very relaxing.
We're like the exact opposite. I'm so loud, so excited, with so much tone. He just like, time to get to business.
It's so nice. I was like, what am I about to jump into here? Like a retreat or something?
Look, you're the first guest I have on the podcast, and I wanted to start our run of guests off with a bang. You are hands down the best fitness closer in Australia. Agree or disagree? Don't be humble.
Well, thank you, Jamie. I mean, you know me, I don't like to say that, but my stats would suggest otherwise. So yeah,
awesome. I have some stats here for the audience. Now, Brooke is a high-ticket closer for multiple fitness brands across Australia, typically selling for women over the age of 40. Now, how this works is an online program. Someone clicks on a Facebook ad, they have a chat, they get booked into a call, they speak to Brooke. Brooke's job is to close them in under 30 minutes, and the prices range from about $2,500 all the way up to $3,600. So last year, Brooke took 661 calls. Brooke closed 475, which is a 71.84% close rate. Brooke gross revenue was $1.2 million, which is just absolutely remarkable. And I will say this, Brooke collected the cash up front, over 60% of that. Now, Brooke, I don't know many people that have closed $1 million in fitness in 12 months.
Neither do I. Neither do I. So yeah, that's impressive hearing it like that. That's really impressive.
Well, there's two people that have really helped me with my sales. One's AP, Andrew Poulton, and one is you. So I've always been very grateful. You were always so kind to me. And the script that we give all of our gym owners was largely written by you. So thank you. And our clients can thank you too.
You're welcome. It's definitely been trialed and tested. So yeah, it keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, I think anyone that takes credit for creating the script or creating the marketing system, we all stand on the shoulders of giants, and it's just you learn one thing from there, you learn what doesn't work, and after test and test and test, you have this perfect script by the end of it. Okay?
Yeah.
We got 5 things to talk about today, and number one, why we started Fitness Business Consulting was I believe that if you coach someone, you have to answer this question, which is why should we listen to you, right? So, Brooke, I'd love to learn about your journey from where you started to where you are now.
So, funnily enough, I think sales has just been always embedded in me and my personality, and I just never have really tapped into that. So I am a massive influencer. I've always been able to influence others easily, right down to buying a lip gloss or, changing the color of their hair. And I've never, ever really noticed how much I do that and how much I have an impact over other people. So when I was young and easily influenced myself, I was caught up in a multi-level marketing, network marketing, pyramid scheme, so to speak. And I did extremely well, like so unintentional, knew nothing about sales, absolutely nothing. And I actually was flown to America to accept an award because I became some crystal director within a matter of months. And I honestly, it was just this whirlwind. And I was like, I don't even know how I'm doing it. People would come to me and say, what's your secret? It's like, tell us how to make more sales. And I honestly didn't have the answers. I just thought I'm having genuine conversations with people and I'm seeing if we can help. And I think once I paired those two parts of my personality together, the ability to influence and the need to want to help people, I just really found my passion and my niche. So I started to explore that avenue a bit more.
It's funny you say that, Brooke, because I'll say this too, I'm black in the face, like the fact that you give a shit about your prospect, the fact that you genuinely care, you want to get them a result. Obviously, sales techniques, tone, pausing, tonality, all important. But at the core, are you a good person? And do you care about the person you're speaking to? And that gets so lost. I always hear, Jamie, how do you handle the objections? How about you give a shit about your prospect?
Yeah. And actually, funnily enough, when you ask me later on in this, what's some of my tips, like that is the number one thing, is actually showing up to every call thinking, what am I going to do today to help this person? And remove everything else, remove the noise, and just show up to that call and help that person. And the outcome is for you, because you're not going into the call with pre-assumptions or trying to be a pushy, sleazy salesman. You're literally just there listening and helping. And
when you realize that you could influence people, and you had a passion for it, I guess a question that I get asked all the time is, are you a natural salesperson? What would your response be to that? So back then I would have said yes, but that is because I didn't know anything about anything. Now I think no, I don't. I think natural ability can only take you to a certain point. And then you need to actually start to master your skills. Otherwise you'll hit a ceiling, and that will be where you stay. So I've dedicated the last probably 18 months to really learning and upskilling myself so that I can pull from lots of different, avenues into creating this script that just is flawless. It's funny because your natural ability was bubbly, friendly, caring, and then my natural ability was just absolutely steamroll people. So different people's ability shows up. Absolutely, but it was just, I was terrible. I thought I was good, but my conviction was so strong. They would take so much belief, but it only gets you so far. Being the steamroll gets you so far. Being the nicest person in town gets you so far. And that is where those next skills come in. So we went from MLM to being the crystal director, whatever that is. And then we started working in the fitness industry, and you worked for RBT. For those who don't know, RBT was a chain of about 20 CrossFit functional style gyms all over Australia. What was your role at RBT, and what was that like? So it started off just as a coach, and then very quickly moved to a growth manager. So we were sent to Sydney, and we managed a gym over in Sydney. And part of our role was to grow it from the ground up. And again, very little sales experience, but I found myself constantly winning. I was selling the most amount of paid in full memberships. I had the best retention. I was getting lots of people through the door, and I never knew how or why, but I was just this is where my natural ability would come into it. I was naturally good at influencing people. So I found myself, again, stuck into a bit of a sales role and really thriving and succeeding in it, and was loving it. So, yeah, that's sort of how I entered the fitness industry. So let's get into the nitty gritty. So they were doing a pre-sale for a club in Sydney, and then or was it pre-sale? You'd have leads coming in predominantly via Facebook, referrals, maybe had a stand at the shopping centre, that type of stuff. And then was your job to sell them into a short-term program, 28 days, 6 weeks, or was it a 12-month membership? It was a 16-week membership. So RBT used to run these challenges where there'd be a $5,000 prize for the best transformation. So we obviously had two funnels. We had our 28-day challenge, super simple, although I used to be terrified at taking card details over the phone. I was just like, who on earth is ever going to do that? And then our other funnel was 16-week leads going into, a 16-week challenge. And Chatswood won twice this fast start challenge that we did for selling the most amount of paid in full memberships in I think it was a 2-week period. So, So 16 weeks paid in full? Yeah. And what 997? 997. And when that gym opened, how many members did it have roughly? Do you remember roughly? Yep. So when we took over, there was about 50 paying members, and we got it up to almost 200 in under a year. Well, actually almost 8 months. That is absolutely remarkable, because most gym owners get stuck at that 50 to 60 member mark. The person who had that gym would have been saying things like, Chatswood's a tough area. Chatswood is difficult. There's a fitness first in Chatswood. There's a crunch fitness in Chatswood. This is the worst area. I cannot make this work. Then a talented marketer comes in, a talented salesperson comes in and quadruples it. Like, it just shows the power of sales and marketing.
Oh, our culture, Jamie, was just, it was next level. I think we had to weed out some of the, there was always those members that expect things. And once we sort of eliminated a lot of those, we just hit the ground running and we built the most beautiful family. And to this day, we're all still mates. We all still keep in touch. So it was an awesome experience.
And when you were winning the PIF Awards at RBT, did you start going to other gyms and doing pre-sales there? Like, how did your role evolve there?
So yes, I actually started selling some 28-day challenges on the side for some gyms around Perth. And that is where I probably realized that maybe I didn't like sales, because it was that nature of being on a speed dialer and just waiting for people to pick up the phone. And I probably put up walls with that. Like I don't like churning through prospects. I hate the idea of just jumping on a dialer and hoping someone will pick up and then trying to, sell them on the spot. So my sales experience took a bit of a turn, and I was like, oh no, I'm not liking that. So yeah, that was another little thing that I did on the side.
I'll just jump in there because technology, automations, funnels, systems have come so far these days. So the majority of way gyms get members today is click learn more, name, phone number, email. On the thank you page, wait, there's one more step, book in a call. And obviously, you know the difference of someone booking in a call with you, that quality of conversation, or on a speed dial. That is the version of door knocking.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I had a guy come to my door the other day. He was selling solar, and he did such a great job that I booked a phone call. He was at the door. I had too much respect for his game.
Wow. So he sold you, essentially.
He did. But just like, if someone's door, the thing about gym owners, don't get me wrong, running a gym is difficult, but they say it's difficult, it's tough. No. Driving 2 hours to a mine, spending 12 hours underground, driving 2 hours home is tough. Door knocking at solar at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday is tough. If we leverage the technology we have today, it doesn't have to be that difficult.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're on the speed dialer. You're on the phones. What's the percentage of pickups? Like, how many are you selling? Was it a triage call? Run me through the process.
Oh, it was literally cold calling. It was like, here, these leads have just viewed the ad, give them a call. We actually did okay. We ended up filling out a full 28-day challenge. But for me, at the time that I was in, I was managing a gym. I was sort of, Scott and I actually started our own online coaching business as well. So we were just sort of being pulled in all different directions, and I probably couldn't give enough to that. So I sort of only did it for maybe a couple of months. And then I thought, no, I just want to focus on the gym, getting that to a point that is, super profitable, and then our own business as well.
You said something before was really important. You weren't comfortable grabbing credit cards over the phone, which is laughable today.
I know.
So you were signing the 16-week PIFs. Was that were you booking appointments in person and piffing them, and then later on the phone came?
Yeah, so that was obviously a massive for me. I just could not get over it. I was like, no one's going to give their credit card details over the phone. And this is back then. Of course they are. So some people I was able to do that on the phone, but it was a very uncomfortable question. Okay, well, I'll just grab some, credit card details, secure the spot. But most of the time I was able to get them into the gym. I would take them through, get a scan done, show them around, and then literally it would be like in my hands, and it would be like game over.
And developing as a salesperson, if you're in person, your bubbly friendliness, bounciness, that is what's getting them across the line, and then you just lose that over the phone. What are those? Is it the sixth sense? That's a movie. It's 5 senses, and over the phone you've got one. Yeah,
and that even shows you how vitally important it is to listen to the prospect and make it feel like you're on the same page, you're on the same side as the table. Because if they sense any kind of sales process, resistance just comes in, and then trying to break through those barriers is almost impossible.
A lot of the times with salespeople, I find, Brooke, it's a belief thing. I work with gym owners, and they don't believe they're going to get leads, and then we get them 50 leads. It's no problems. You'll get the leads, and then it's just I could never ask for credit card information over the phone. Who would do that? But what they make the judgment of is they wouldn't do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And they bring that into the call and they bring that into their business, and it can really affect how you show up in that moment. So this is where I've had to really hone my own skills in understanding that the way that I'm feeling in my mind, in my body, is going to show in that call. So if I'm having a bad day and I jump into calls, you bet I'm bringing that with me into those calls, and therefore my conversion goes down. So you really have to make sure that you're recharged and you're protecting that energy. And if you have a shitty call, you have to move away from that call and do something to release that energy so that you can move into that next call ready to help that prospect and not bring any of that over with you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And gym owners particularly, and online coaches, they actually buy from their own wallet. And they cannot believe that someone would pay $100 a week, $150, $200 a week to solve a problem because they've never actually experienced the problem. Have you been that 150-kilo woman who can't be naked in front of her husband? Are you waking up tired every single morning? Are you embarrassed to put on clothes? Are you picking your holiday based on destinations that you don't want to show your skin in? And the fitness professional has always been in great shape, and they can never actually walk a day in that prospect's shoes. And then they'll say stuff like, I would never pay that. It's not about what you would pay. A mechanic wouldn't pay you to fix your car, but you sure as shit pay him.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think fitness is one of the hardest things to sell because you're selling a dream. You are selling something that for a particular person, they may have failed at time and time and time again. And there are no guarantees in life. I mean, I'd love to sit there and say, oh, we guarantee that you're going to lose this weight. But at the end of the day, if they've got their own set of limiting beliefs blocking them, you have to, as a salesperson, get around those to get them to understand that that's what's stopping them from ultimately achieving their goal. And that in 30 minutes, that's tough. That's a hard gig.
You're overcoming years and years and years of limiting beliefs. Have you heard of Alex Hormozi's value equation?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is amazing, and it explains why fitness is so hard to sell. So the value equation on the top line, it is what is the dream outcome? Let's say the dream outcome is lose 20 kilos. On the other side is perceived likelihood of achievement. The woman who's tried to lose 20 kilos 10 times, her perceived likelihood of achievement is so fucking low, like next to nothing. Yeah. Under that, it is how quickly can they get it? Well, typically to lose 20 kilos at 6 or 12 months. So this person's dream, they're probably not going to achieve it. They've got to wait 12 months. And the last part is in their own mind, whether it's true or not, they have to sacrifice things they love and start doing things they hate.
Yeah.
So you try selling that over the phone in half an hour if you don't have the skills to do it. Because if my dream outcome is buy a coffee, my perceived likelihood of achievement at 7-Eleven, pretty high.
Pretty high, yeah.
Time delay instant, my sacrifice, it makes me feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've heard it time and time again, but fitness salespeople make the best salespeople because we're selling effectively hopes and dreams.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone has said that to me. If you can sell fitness and you're good at fitness, you will be a gun at any other industry, which is exciting because speaking to women and selling them something that I know is going to help gives me a lot of joy. And, you have those calls where you get them across the line and it's been a battle, but a good battle, same side of the table battle. And it just makes you feel like you've really accomplished something. You've literally put their needs before your own almost, and you've given them a solution, something that they know if they put the hard work in, they can achieve.
Yeah, and sometimes fitness owners just expect, here's my credit card, take my payment. If that was the case, your job wouldn't exist. And it's your job. It's your job to help them on that journey to overcome their beliefs, what's happened in the past, why it's important to them. We'll get to the script later on, but it's your job to get them to the point to make that change. And I think one of the biggest things for me, Brooke, and why I love selling fitness so much, and I'll sell fitness for the rest of my life, is we're actually selling a product that everyone fucking needs. Now, Brooke, one thing that I hate about sales, or the word sales, is if you're a salesperson, you probably don't go around telling everyone that you're a salesperson because it is shameful.
Yes. Jamie, I have this conversation with Scott all the time. I'm like, I don't know why there's so much shame and stigma around being a salesperson. And I think it really does come down to the fact that, previous old school ways of selling and methods were very pushy. It was the sleazy salesman. It was like, I'm not letting you get off the call until you make a decision right now. That is what we're coming from. And I suppose it's people still have that, view of a salesperson in today's day and age, but it's just not like that at all. Today, it's about open communication and actually finding a solution together. So yeah, I agree. There is so much stigma and shame around being a salesperson and making a lot of money, and there shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's like, what do I have to do to get you in this car today?
Exactly. Yeah.
I've told this story once. I was like 19. I went to Pacific Fair at schoolies. I went twice. I was a toolie. And I left my shoes at home. So I went to Pacific Fair, went to a store, tried to pick up a pair of shoes, and this shoe salesman, before I even knew what sales was, came at me 10 out of 10 like, hey, man, want a pair of shoes? I went, I'm just looking now. How about you try that pair? I said, Sin City, that pair must go on your feet to get in. Got to get in them, man. And I was like, I was a pretty confident 19-year-old, and I was just in my shell. And I took the pair of shoes. I bought them, and I've never felt dirtier in my life. And if you feel that way, it's a short-term thing, and you don't want to be that person.
I think for me, it's the people that stand in the middle of the shopping center and they literally cut you off and they go, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? And it's that perceived ideology of what a salesperson is, that persistent, annoying, pushy person. That is why sometimes you get that resistance the moment someone picks up the phone. I don't want to be sold anything. Just tell me what you do. How we are triggered by triggering responses. So how do you deal with that without just being like, oh, excuse me, add that combative response? So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I did 4 pre-sales and I should have gave results-based training. My secret, I had a tennis ball and I used to throw it at people and they catch it. Oh, what's this? It's like, you can't do training? And that is how I would stop people. And then I would just...
That is genius.
I just bulldoze over them. And it was a classic, pre-sale membership, save $300, get your first month free, PT session, sign here. And the worst thing is we'd always make sure the pre-sale stand was on the same floor as the banks. Because at this point, Visa and MasterCard wasn't that popular. So I don't know my banking details. That's okay. Commonwealth Bank is 100 meters that way. And I was just like walking around the corner like...
I'll walk you there.
Bad. So bad. Charlestown Square throwing tennis balls around for years.
That's awesome. What a creative way at getting people's attention. I like it.
Yeah, but it was, but also I never found out what the refund rate was. I never found out how many people canceled before the gym opened. I never found out what that person said when they walked around the other corner and thought, that guy's a dickhead. And one thing too, if you sell like a dickhead, you actually become a dickhead.
Yeah,
because you spend all day just like hearing no, and you just take it home with you.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the role of a salesperson is honestly one of the most difficult jobs I've ever had, because you take on not only do you take on people's problems, but you also deal with rejection, and no one in this world likes to be rejected. So like I said earlier, you have to be able to leave that at the door before going into your next call, and that can be really tough.
One of the biggest things I get from gym owners, and I'm sure you see it too, coaching other online closers too, is they get rejection 1, 2, 3 in a day, and their world's melting down, and it is so hard to take a step back and say, hey, well, hang on, maybe you lost the last 3 calls, but you closed the first 7. You've closed 70% for 12 months. Life's good.
Exactly. Yeah, looking at the bigger picture. I think we can get caught up in our day performance, even in our week performance, but that is nothing in the big scheme of things, in a bigger picture. Everyone's going to have bad days. Everyone's going to have bad weeks. Far out. People are going to have bad months. But if your overall ROI is positive, then you are profitable. So you have to take things with a grain of salt, particularly bad days and bad weeks.
Yeah, and it's just for gym owners in particular, like just client finance acquisition. So they spend money on ads. 10 leads cost them $300. We want 2 leads to buy a 28-day program for $300. They spent $300, got two new clients. They've made $300. And that is how people scale gyms. That's how RBT scale. That's how they all scale. But it all comes down to, you can have the best marketing, the best product, but that person in the middle either over the phone or at the gym or in the shopping center, they are the key to success.
Absolutely.
So with your going from MLM to RBT to high ticket closing for multiple brands across Australia, how did you end up there and what has that experience been like?
So I was actually approached from a friend of mine, and he said he's got this great opportunity and he really wants me to meet AP. And I was really hesitant at first, and I thought, nah, I've sort of gone back to teaching and I'm happy there. I really thought I'd left my sales days were behind me.
I want to unpack that. Why did you feel that way? Was it just burned out at, like, what happened?
Well, yeah, so RBT didn't end well. I think I can say that. And so I ended up just thinking, nah, it's too high pressured. I don't like not feeling secure in my job. And so I just put it to the side and I thought, nope, I'm going to go back to teaching. So I've actually got an education degree. So went back to teaching, felt happy. Again, there's a ceiling though, and I was constantly searching for more. I always look for little things that I could do on the side or side hustles or just things that I could, just add to my income. And so when I was approached by friends saying, oh my goodness, this offer is just amazing, it's right up your alley, like I think you would love it, I took the leap of faith and actually met with AP, and we had a really good conversation, and then the rest is history. I started taking calls, and I think he said to me my first week would be like out of this, it'd be amazing. My first week absolutely sucked. In fact, my first few weeks sucked to the point where he sent me a message and was like, hey, we need to do some serious training with you. Otherwise, you're not going to have a job. And I was like, saw that and thought, no way. Like, I've always been the best. Like, I'm going to now run with it. And so, yeah, from there, I just started getting better and better and better and better.
Well, that's interesting because I only know the version of you today. Those first couple of weeks didn't take me a couple of weeks.
I know.
I'm kidding. So what happened?
I think I was just a bit rusty. I hadn't sold for ages. I was out of the space. I wasn't immersed in it all. So I just felt really rusty, and I felt like I sounded a bit robotic, and I was really following the script to a T, and I just wasn't being conversational or actually listening to the prospects. So I was just missing the mark. I was missing really important golden nuggets that I should have explored. And I got to the end and I would always be like, why didn't they buy? Like, what did I do wrong? I was just being really emotional and taking it personally. So it was a big learning curve for me. And then obviously it took a few weeks for me to just really get back into gears and start having those meaningful conversations.
Do you think it was just repetitions? You were just out of the game for too long, that you'd not forgotten how to sell, but just every conversation was a big deal for you at that time?
Yeah, for sure. I'd been out of the game. I thought sales was, sleazy. I'd kind of fallen into that mindset where, sales is yuck and it's icky and I don't want to do it. And why am I doing this? And I just was in a shitty headspace. And then it took me doing some self-reflection as to going, okay, what am I doing wrong in these calls, and taking that extreme ownership. And then, took a couple of weeks to really get firing. For anyone that heard that, it should be really inspiring. So, Brooke, we need to do some training to now effectively being the best in the company, and it's not even close. Like, it's not even close. So over those 3 weeks when you did reflect, was it more adjusting your beliefs around... were you selling like you were selling for a gym still? Were you selling like what happened? Like how did it change so quickly? I heard someone say to me, just rock up to the call and have a conversation. They're like, you're so good at having conversations. And I thought to myself, that's so true. Like, what am I doing? I'm just having a conversation with somebody on the other end of the phone. I don't know why I'm so anxious about it. And when I changed that mindset and actually started focusing on the prospect, what their problem was, where their pain was, and just being on that same side of the table, getting, understanding, coming from a point of understanding, it just made the whole conversation change. Everything changed. So, that was a big turning point for me, just rocking up to the call thinking you're having a conversation and how you're going to help that person today. So you feel as though you had the same skills week 1 as you had week 4, but it was just your approach to that phone call, and that they could smell what we call in sales commission breath. Is that fair? Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So, Brooke, elaborate. What is commission breath?
Commission breath is basically you doing everything that you can to get a sale. So, and they can tell that. I mean, that's basically not giving them the space to feel any kind of feeling. I mean, an objection is them being triggered by something, right? So if you are then further triggering them with, commission breath, they're literally going to hang up on you. That's what will happen. So I feel like we can, as salespeople, particularly after a day of maybe like 7 sales fails, we can get that breath where we're just like, come on, this lady has to buy. I'm going to throw absolutely everything at them to make that happen.
And I guess, how did you lose that commission breath? What was your process to remove yourself from the outcome of the call effectively?
Just refining. So getting better at asking questions and realizing that if I am going to have any kind of meaningful conversation, I need to stop doing the talking. I think lots of people in gyms, and when I used to sell for RBT, it was me just coaching them the whole time. Oh, well, this is wrong with your metabolism. Oh, well, we need to do that. Basically flexing my expertise. And I definitely started taking these calls the same way. I'd be coaching them throughout the whole thing. So I'd get to the end.
I just didn't really unpack this. So your script, whoever wrote it, it's been contributed by 10 people now. It's amazing. I give that to a gym and we coach them through it, and they say, how will this apply to my gym? And they forget about the core principles, what they are actually selling versus whether it's a spin bike gym, whether it's a CrossFit gym, whether it's an F45. Do you want to elaborate on that, where you were in the coaching frame and not actually kind of discovering why they're there in the first place?
Yeah, so I was under the belief, and this is because I didn't have any sales training, that coaching somebody and flexing in a call and basically showing off at how amazing you are and how knowledgeable you are would be a no-brainer. Of course they're going to buy, because they're like, oh my God, I trust this person. They're so smart. They know everything. But I quickly realized, if you're going to spend $3,000 over the phone, you need to have a bloody good reason why. So here's me trying to get a few next level answers and coaching them through the whole way to get to the very end, and then just to go, okay, cool, well, thanks, I'm going to think about it. And
it's so hard for gym owners because we're so passionate about our chosen way of fitness. We are so dogmatic about it. This is the best way to get in shape, that we just don't shut up about it.
Yeah, but Jamie, it does not matter. Yeah, no. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your approach is. If the prospect has enough pain, they're going to buy. That is literally, if they've got a $3,000, a $2,000, a $1,000 reason why they need to do this, they will buy. So it doesn't.
And gym owners like, oh, I can't sell them until they come down to my facility because they need to see it. No, they don't. They don't care.
They do not care.
And one thing is, lots of gym owners do want to go online, and period, point blank, if you cannot sell an in-person service over the phone with that trust there, your gym is in the area. I call it the throw a brick through your window trust level. Like, it is not going to be a scam, because they can find you. When you go online, that is completely removed, and it is such, like, I don't know, it is just the amount of trust that you need to build in that half an hour is just astronomical.
Yeah, you're right. And especially lately as well, with the amount of scamming that's going on, women are really holding things close to their chest. So again, if you're not on the same side of the table as them, they are not going to trust you with $3,000. They just won't. So it just further heightens the importance of listening, communicating, finding a solution together rather than dictating.
Yeah. And I guess what we're discussing then in the sales world is just called solution dropping. Whereas, my name's Brooke. I can't wait to help you. This is what we offer. And you just talk for 10 minutes and the prospects start to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best things.
Sorry, I was just going to say, the moment you start talking about, today we're going to talk about this, XYZ, I mean, your prospect just automatically has gone, oh, right, I'm in a sales process. Walls, like if you attack a call by just literally being like, hey, how you going? So I need to understand you. I need to know if we can actually help you. Is it okay if I just start by asking you a few questions? They're thinking, oh, okay, this person genuinely cares about me. We're having a conversation today where I'm not in a sales process, and therefore they're more likely to open up to you and just give you everything that you need.
imagine if I came to Perth when I saw you, we had a few drinks together, and I said, well, today, Brooke, we're going to do X, Y, Z, and at the end of it, you can let me know whether we're going to go to venue 2. Like, you thought, who the fuck is this guy? And like, why did I spend my afternoon with myself and Dave? Like, obviously you don't talk to the prospect like they're your best friend. You're not swearing, you're not carrying on, but it needs to be that conversation. It needs to be that conversational tone the whole way through. And even when you say that big number, $3,000, that is when it needs to be more conversational than ever before.
Yeah. You need to be seen as the trusted advisor, not the best friend. Like, don't get the two mistaken, because if you're seen as the best friend, then they're easily going to be able to let you down. But if you're seen as like a trusted advisor, someone who, you know, is really challenging their insights and the way that they're thinking, you know, when you get to the end and they give you a think about it objection, for instance, you have the authority to then challenge that insight and make them see and understand why thinking about it is not going to help them.
I learned this from Jeremy Miner. I love his content, by the way. I'm sure NAPQ will be great. I'm the confused old man. Like, oh, hey, it's Jamie. Well, you booked a call today, did you? Like, why are you even here?
Yeah,
and
he does this.
Yeah. And then I go from that, and then I almost, every part of the script, I go from the bumbling old man to like advisor, trusted advisor. Now I have the permission to say what you really need to hear when it comes to that fear objection.
Yeah. Give me a fear objection any day of the week. I love a good think about it. If you hit me with a think about it, I'm like, let's go.
Let's go through that, right? Because the amount of gym owners that I hear say it's too expensive or I can't afford it, or I got a cost objection. I fundamentally disagree with that wholeheartedly, because if F45, CrossFit, RBT did one thing, they popularized group training, and every single person in Australia knows it's about 50 a week. So on that phone call, if you're doing 28 days for $199, the price isn't a concern. So Brooke, if someone gives that cost objection, and it's not an objection, we know that, what happens? Like,
I would say something like, I hear you, Jamie. You know, can we do something for a moment? Money aside, is this the program for you? And as soon as they say yes, because they will, you say, why though? Like, cut them off instantly. Why though? Get them to revisit the reasons in the first place that they're here and why they want to do this. And then you can sort of say to them, well, okay, so what can we do together to try and make this work financially? And 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, oh, you know, then they can start thinking, oh, you know, I've got that Netflix subscription that I never watch, or I've got a bottle of wine. Essentially, when you're dealing with a money objection, you want to make sure that you are not, they need to lead the way. So they need to be thinking about the wine or the takeaway, not coming from you. I think leading them
is so important, because what can we do together? You're on their side of the table, as opposed to saying it's too expensive, it's only a coffee a day. I fucking hate that. I don't know what the framework's called, where it's like you grab all their takeaway, their wine, their expenses, only to throw it in their face at the end of the call. If you do that, they'll instantly think, who is this guy telling me how to spend my money? I've just met him.
Never. I mean, that's just basically being triggered in their response. So you're going to trigger them back by saying, well, hang on a minute, you smoke, don't you? You know, that's an extra $50 a week. That is just not ever going to end in your favor. And if it does, because they feel pressured, you bet the moment they get off the call after they've reflected, they're going to start to feel a lot of shame around that decision, and end up in a cancellation anyway.
So someone that gives you a cost objection and you say, money aside, and then we discover that like money isn't actually the issue. They can afford it. It's $199. It's not a big decision. This isn't high ticket closing. It's $199. Everyone can afford it. We've squared away what we'd call logistical objections. Why do they give that objection in the first place? It's because they are scared. And you mentioned before fear-based objections. Where does that fear come from?
Just failure. You know, I mean, you got to think, in fitness, a lot of people have failed time and time and time again. In fact, a few of them may have even been caught in a bit of a scam where they were promised all of these things, and as soon as they paid money, anything, and all of a sudden the company went under. There is so many things that have, you know, made this person bring that to the call today. And if you don't help work through the thought process with them, they're not going to sign. So, you know, my favorite thing to say is, you know, okay, cool. All right, let me think about this. I'll sort of say something like, okay, and if you don't mind me asking or just sharing some insight, Jamie, do you think, you know, every decision that we've ever made has led us to this point? So do you think going away and thinking about this, do you trust that decision, that same decision-making process that has actually put you in the position that you're in, extra 25 kilos heavier, you know, list their whys again? And usually when you actually put it in black and white and say that to them, they go, you're right. I'm going to end up talking myself out of this as soon as I get off the call. So what do we need to do today, you and I together right now in this moment, to put yourself in the best possible position to achieve X, Y, Z, so that you don't end up in a wheelchair or whatever they enter cost of inaction? So you're just building that urgency and getting them to understand that the decision needs to be made now, not when you get off the phone.
And only a trusted advisor can say that.
Absolutely.
When the sales guy, 2014, Jamie the Bulldozer, you've already been thinking about it. What's there to think about? And that is the difference between a very, very average salesperson who maybe can get some sales across the line but feels disgusting by the end of the day versus someone who generally has that prospect's, I guess, best interest at heart, because they are not going home to sit in a rocking chair by the window and think, is this program for me?
No, they're going to think of a million reasons to talk themselves out of doing it. And sometimes you can even say, it sounds to me, Jamie, that you're actually thinking of reasons not to do this. Is that fair to say? And then you'd be like, oh, yeah, you're right. I am. I'm thinking of all these reasons, all these excuses. That voice in my head's getting louder and louder and louder, telling me that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough to be able to get these results. Yeah.
And there's lots of things you can do upstream in the call to prevent the cost, to prevent the fear. One of the best things I think AP ever taught me was just like, period, point blank, Jamie, if they do not have 2,000 to 3,000 other reasons why, it will almost always end in a sales fail. So, Brooke, I would love to unpack this because I don't think I'm a good objection handler. I think I'm pretty terrible, to be honest. And I think that I'm really great at preventing them because of the why. So, Brooke, let's role play. Let's role play. So I'm a woman who's 47 years old. I'm 20 kilos overweight, and I haven't been able to reach my goal before. And you can lead this conversation, and I'll reply.
All right, from start, or are we going just to the why?
Let's just start straight at the why.
All right. So, Jamie, I want to shift gears with you for a moment. We've explored sort of the physical elements, the things that have been going on for you. I want us to take a moment to connect deeply with the reasons why you need to do this. And the reason is I want to be able to hold you accountable to those things. But I also want to make sure that there's a strong enough reason behind why you need to make this change. So what's your why?
I just want to lose the weight. I just need to lose the weight, like 20 kilos heavy.
Okay, so 20 kilos overweight. How's that been affecting you?
It's just like it affects the clothes I wear. It affects what I do. Like I'm always tired. Everything, just everything.
Okay, what do you mean by everything?
Like I cannot remember the last time that I went clothes shopping and enjoyed it.
Okay. How does that make you feel, going clothes shopping and, you know, really wanting to try something on, but knowing that you're not going to like how it looks?
Like, that's why I don't go. Like, I put it off deliberately for as long as I possibly can. And it's just like, it's not even the clothes, Brooke. It's I can't shop in the shops that I want to shop in anymore.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you've taken the sidelines of your own life.
Well, like, I'm just not comfortable. Like, it is so hard for me to go in there and see a dress that I want to wear, and I just know it's not going to fit me, and it's just not going to look good on me. So I just don't do it anymore.
Don't do it anymore.
I just don't feel like, it's not even the clothes, Brooke. Like, I just don't feel about myself. Like, I don't feel like my old self.
Your old self. And what does that feel like, Jamie? What would your old self do in this instance?
Like, I'm tired, I'm grumpy. Like, I used to be fun. Like, I used to be outgoing. I used to be confident. I used to do things with my friends. There's a race day coming up on the weekend. I'd look forward to that event. Now I'm like literally lying to my friends about why I can't go, because I can go. I just don't want to find a dress.
Okay, that sounds like trouble. Jamie, I want to do something with you. Tell me what it feels like to be back there. What is losing this 25 kilos do for you on a personal level?
It's like nothing short of like life-changing. Like, I feel like I'm existing. I've got, don't get me wrong, I've got a great life. I love my kids. My husband loves me, but just day to day, just waking up, going to work, coming home, on repeat.
Okay, so losing this weight would be really life-changing for you.
Yeah, every aspect.
Okay, Jamie, let's do this. I want to ask you a question, and it can be a little bit confronting, but what I tend to find is, even though we want the help and we do all the things, we get on a call, we put ourselves out there, taking that next step can sometimes feel like we're stuck in concrete. And no matter what we do, we can't get there. So let's say you don't take that step today. Where are you in the next 5, even 10 years if you don't lose this weight?
I like the same place. Like, nothing's going to change.
Nothing's going to change. And I mean, are you willing to?
Just like, I've been like this, and I can't see it getting better.
Can't see it getting better. Okay. So, I mean, Jamie, is this something that you're just willing to accept for yourself?
I can't. Like, I just can't do it.
Why not? Why not?
Because I want to be the old me. Like, I want to get the old me back, the fun me. I want to go to the races. I want to see my friends. I want to be that role model for my kids. Like, this just isn't who I am.
Okay. So what is it going to take, Jamie, for you to actually take that second step and get your old self back?
I just need to I just need to get out of my own way. It's been 10 years and I keep thinking about it, and nothing changes and nothing changes and nothing changes. And I'm at the point where I need help.
And see, that's the thing, Jamie. Nothing's going to change unless we change. Every moment is a new moment, and you are in charge. So you can either make the choice to take the step on the path less traveled to moving towards actually achieving your goal of that 25 kilo loss, or you can choose to stay where you are and just keep hoping that it will happen for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it really does. I just need to change. We'll end it there, Brooke. But like, selling 199 over the phone, it's fucking laughable. Like, it's laughable. Like, and that's the thing. Like, people are going to say, "Oh, Jamie, that was a lay down. You gave her the great answers. You answered correctly." If you ask the right questions with the right tone, you are the trusted advisor. Your prospect will open up to you and tell you what they think about at 11 p.m. at night. What are they Googling when their partner's asleep? They will tell you everything. And people are horrible at articulating their thoughts. So we need to ask the questions to get them to give us the answer.
Peeling back the onion. And you can even see in that example, you started off very cold. You were like, oh, I just want to lose the weight. And it went from that to being like, I need to find, I'm just existing. I'm a skeleton of what I used to be. Like, it went from just, and some people will accept that, just that 25 kilos. Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. And that's where we've missed a whole opportunity to learn more about that prospect.
Yeah, and that's when you get the, I don't think, I can't afford that. They just do not value what you're putting down. And that's where, like, I get asked every day, Brooke, what's your best way to handle cost, partner, think about it. And it's just like, focus on everything before that. Like, you are worried about the supplements when you should be worried about the calorie deficit. Like,
absolutely.
The worst fitness business owners I meet, they always complain about their worst client that doesn't track their numbers, that don't put in the work. You are that person. Just show up in different ways of your life.
Yeah. It's so much better to work on pre-handling the objection than getting to the end and going into battle with them. 85% of my calls are objectionless. I honestly would say that 85%, and it's because I do the heavy lifting on the front end of the call. If they open a door, you bet I'm going into that door and I'm exploring and taking what I need and then closing it and moving on to the script. So a script is a framework, but if you look at it as a corridor, there are so many doors that are open that the prospect actually invites you in, and you can either go sure, or you can just ignore that and keep moving forward. But the more doors that you ignore going into, the more likely you're going to have objections at the end.
Yeah, well, the great question you asked them was like, and it's your responsibility. You are in charge. At the end of the call, it's very hard for me to say my partner makes the decisions. And you closed off a partner objection. You closed off think about it. You closed off I can't do it today just by asking the right questions. And at no point did I feel like I was being sold to. And the prospect, like, they are not a sophisticated buyer. It is their first time through this process. Maybe their second or third time. You better know the process better than them.
Oh, absolutely. You need to be 2 steps ahead of the game throughout the entire call. You can preempt what they're going to say, but don't preempt what they're going to say, if that makes sense. Like, you can be aware of it, but let them actually say it before you respond.
That's a really good one. Like you want to lose weight? Oh, so you can fit into the dress? No, because I've got diabetes.
Exactly.
Shut up.
Yeah.
One of the things I've listened to a bunch of your calls, Brooke, very fortunate. And one of the things that I've learnt the most, and I still get uncomfortable to this day, is just silence. Silence is terrifying on that phone for both prospects. And I'm not talking about Jordan Belfort, the first person who speaks losers. How do you use silence on your calls? And why do you think it's so effective for you?
Well, silence is important because not only does it build urgency, but it actually gives room for the prospect to have a think. Because if we're thinking about how a conversation goes in real life, it's not constant. You're not going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There are moments of silence. You're sitting in the car with your husband, for instance. There are moments of silence. And that doesn't mean that they're not engaged. It means that you're giving them the space to actually digest that. If that line that I just gave you about it's your choice, you can either choose to go this way or you can choose to go that way. That is such a powerful analogy that needed to sit with her. And I want to allow that. So you need to take a step back.
And
also, when you...
Sorry, the biggest thing too, like, yeah, I need to actually let that sink in and visualize. I can go part 1, part 2, but if you go straight into the next thing, you're throwing more stuff at me, I just move on. So I've never heard it explained that well, where like you want things to land certain ways and you need to give them time to process it, especially if they're just coming out of this slumber of like, I've never ever lost weight before. And they almost had that light bulb moment and you want them to say, yeah, okay, like that makes sense. Like, and then you are absolutely the trusted advisor. And you're the voice that's been running around their head for the last 5 years.
And sometimes you don't want to follow something that powerful with, does that make sense? You want them to say, oh, Brooke, that makes so much sense. You're right. I'm stuck. I feel like concrete's all around me, or I feel like I'm playing the same song over and over and over again. Like, you want them to come up with what it is that they're struggling with. So allowing that silence is you building that urgency, letting something land, letting them sit with that.
Also with the price too. Because you'll say our program costs $3,000. And then if you just go, bang, 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 bang. If you say the program costs $3,000 and you just sit there in silence, and it is uncomfortable and it's very hard to do, they're just like, yeah, like, well, can I pay that in 2 parts? Yes. No problems. They're literally thinking, and you interrupt because you always panic, oh my God, they can't afford this, I'm going to drop sell. Or it literally could be what I hear all the time on gym call recordings. It's just like, it's $199, or you can do it, and the person just often says, well, like, yeah, that's fine, that's no problems at all, but I'm going away week 3. Can I put it on hold for that week? Yes, you can. But they just jump in before even hearing what what the objection actually was, which goes back to, is it logistical, fear? You need to work out which one to do this. Brooke, what is the life of a high ticket closer like?
So it's pretty good. I mean, aside from sometimes not being able to disconnect, I mean, I give my absolute all into every single call that I show up for. So I think sometimes by the end of the day, I'm really drained of my energy. But as long as I do things to replenish that or recharge, so sometimes I take a walk, I listen to lots of mindset podcasts and just things to protect my energy so that I can show up for my family after that. Sometimes after a particularly bad day, I'll really let that affect how I show up for my family, which I really don't like. So I think you have to look after yourself as a high ticket fitness salesperson, because you do just sometimes feel like you're churning through people and it can be a hard slog. So protecting your energy, protecting your mindset, making sure you're doing plenty of things that are recharging you so that then you can show up even better for that next call. I think that's probably some good advice for people who are thinking of going into this industry. Or
I saw a great thing on a podcast that was like, if you look at your calendar at the end of the week and you mark the things as green as they gave me energy, or red, they drained me of my energy. If you really go through your calendar and it's all red, something needs to change. Brooke, who are your biggest sales mentors? Who has taught you the most? Who do you look up to?
I would definitely. So I'm doing a lot of training with Kayla at the moment. So she is basically NEPQ's female version. So she talks a lot about feminine energy and how to use that in a sales call, which I just think is so relevant for the actual product, the program that I'm selling. But your Jeremy Miners, your Matt Writers, like even your Marcos, like they're all really big influences and have helped me a lot in just to develop into the salesperson that I am.
There's so much amazing free content out there that if you know what you're looking for, it is there. Before I knew AP, before I ever heard of the name Matt Wright, I love their podcast. There's a YouTube video of him selling fitness to someone over the phone. It goes for about 22 minutes. I probably listened to it 100 times. So Matt, if you're listening to this, big fan. And one of the best questions I ever got off him, and I use it to this day, especially for gym calls, I'm like, why now? Like why bother? It's such a powerful question. Yeah, like you got one's pretty important, but like, why now? Like you just put it away, and just that one line helped me close so many sales in the gym. It wasn't funny. And now Mitch uses that line.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you know where to look, there is some amazing content out there. So Matt Ryder, Jeremy Miner. I've never heard of Kayla before, by the way. I haven't seen any of her content.
Yeah, so she's essentially selling like a women's only coaching program, which is basically a version of NEPQ. It is NEPQ, but it's called the Red Book, and she's awesome. She just gives you some really good language, particularly when you're trying to get on the same side as a woman, in getting them to feel that you are there with them and that you understand. And I really, really have used some of her stuff in my calls. It's awesome.
I've never really I have sold to men in my gym, but I've never sold high ticket to men. And I imagine it's a different world of smacking them around. Like, so I often think I don't go through menopause, so it's very hard for me to relate. But if I'm talking to a 34-year-old, I can talk Call of Duty all day long.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to talk about slapping around men, you need to talk to Scott, because he's selling to like $11,000 deals into cybersecurity. So it's a whole different ballgame. That is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. One of the things too, Brooke, I think if fitness business owners or personal trainers who have sold before, like if we've learned this stuff, they can learn it too. And it is such a valuable skill. And I'm not even sure they are aware of the amazing opportunities out there where you can literally earn 10, 15, 20, 25,000 a month straight commission. And whether you end up in a high ticket role or for it's your gym or you're doing your own online program, sales is everything. I'm selling LMT on why we should have Ty over Indian. Like persuasion is everywhere. Everywhere
in how you communicate even. You know, like I've used sales strategies that I use in my calls with everybody, my mum, my partner, everybody, because it's communication. That's what sales is. It's you communicating and getting to the bottom of why, it's happening. So yeah, it's funny. Amazing. It's everywhere.
I'm booked in for a knee surgery coming up, and I flew to Singapore and I had a crutch, and I was sitting like one row behind first class, and the toilets was the other side of the plane. So it would have legitimately been challenging for me to get there. And I said, listen, my knee's really sore. I've got a crutch. Would you be opposed to me using the first class bathroom? How could she say no to that? Would you be opposed to a man on one crutch using that bathroom? It's like, oh, sir, absolutely no problems at all. But she can't come, referring to Ellen. Would you be? It's a great question to ask.
Yeah. Would it be appropriate to, for me just be able to use the first class bathrooms because, it's a bit of a walk for me? Like, would it be appropriate? No one's going to say, no, it's not appropriate. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's the smallest tweaks that you can make in the script to change the outcome. It's awesome.
Yeah. So, Brooke, one last thing. Whether you're new to sales, intermediate, you're advanced, you're the best fitness closer in the country, what are 3 tips to be an absolute elite salesperson in your mind?
Okay, I've mentioned these all throughout the call, but these are honestly my 3 tips. If you want to just improve your sales game like tenfold in the next day, I would change these things. So number 1, showing up to every call with the mindset that you are there to help them make the best possible decision for themselves. So being present in the call, listening to what they have to say, just getting rid of the outcome, removing yourself from the outcome and focusing on helping that person.
And that's also accepting that 1 out of 50 people are not going to be a good fit. And that's okay. That's okay.
Absolutely. It doesn't reflect you as a salesperson for telling someone that they're not going to be a good fit for the program. That's important.
Yeah, if you sell someone as a trusted advisor, you can also be the trusted advisor and push them into the right direction. And that is just period, point blank, being a good human being. And the best salespeople I know are good human beings.
Absolutely. So that would be number 1. Number 2 is not making assumptions. So I think we all do this, and it's really affecting how we show up in that call. Is we read their intake form, it might say that they're on a disability pension, or that they're struggling with finances, or that they've only got a couple of kilos to lose, and we've instantly made an assumption about that prospect. Oh, they're not going to be good. What's the point of even me being here? So we don't follow the process. We get on that call, we've got an assumption, we just try and get them off the phone. We disqualify them before we've even given them the chance to see if this is a good fit for them. So not making assumptions and genuinely listening to the prospect would be my number 2.
Because they may be retired, but they may have been a CEO of the Commonwealth Bank.
Absolutely.
Or they may have inherited a shit ton of money.
Yep. Assumptions is affecting your sales game and how you show up. 100%. And then my 3rd one is my favorite. It's pre-handling objections. So have extreme ownership of your process and don't miss an opportunity to handle objection that you're going to get in the end. So you're better off just exploring the door, going through, walking down that corridor, entering that room with them, exploring what's coming up for them in this moment, and then closing that door and moving forward.
Before you pitch the price, you are more so the trusted advisor than ever before. So if there is an objection, my partner, he self-sabotages me sometimes, he brings home food, you need to address that.
Yeah.
Because if you pitch the price and you try and address it after, even if you do it with the right tone, everything's perfect, the price has been dropped, they're more likely to give you, it's too expensive, as opposed to my partner doesn't support me.
Absolutely.
Well, Brooke, thank you so much for coming. I do appreciate 1 hour and 3 minutes of your time. The role play was amazing. The why. I think I'm going to get you back in a couple of weeks and we can role play an entire phone call and you can piff me into a 26-week program.
Easy. Done.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks. Bye.